My friends, here we are again. The ZNT Wrestling Show is back. Tomas is here. He is the biggest Cody crybaby on the planet. I am Zach, an even bigger Cody crybaby than he is. We're on a whole new journey. We just finished our favorite year in the Ruthless Aggression era. I don't want to speak for him, but it's one of my favorite years in 2005. But now we've come across 2006, which to me, I don't know, Tomas. It was a very up and down year for World Wrestling Entertainment.
It was a lot of, it was just, I feel like me personally, this was probably one of the hardest years to be a wrestling fan, if I'm being perfectly honest. I was going from elementary to middle school. A lot of my friends that watched wrestling just stopped doing it. It was that weird summer transition. And I did find new friends that like wrestling, but looking at the product, it was hard. This was, as we're going to talk about this pay-per-view, this is when the fans really started turning on Cena. And I cannot believe I'm at the point in my adulthood where I can say I agree. And I probably would have been right there with them if I was this age watching Cena, because it was pretty bad. This was the mega Cena push. We talked about it, the Armageddon review. Batista is going to be on the show for a bit, so the SmackDown World title scene is going to get a little wonky. It did lead to some great moments and some great matches, but definitely, they were panic booking at this point. And mid 2006, it's going to get weird. We're going to be talking some very weird stuff, and I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm thinking about like halfway down the line with like SummerSlam. SummerSlam 2006 was I feel like that's the day I lost my innocence. That was the last pay-per-view I was like excited for. You know what I mean? You know, I remember growing up as a kid, seeing all the hype videos, seeing all the promotion for pay-per-views, and just thinking pay-per-views are so special. SummerSlam 06, after it was just like, these are pay-per-views. These are just I don't feel excited for any of these main events. I don't feel excited for any of these cards. I continue to watch them, sure, but it's like the magic was gone. It was the day I lost my innocence as a wrestling fan. But thankfully, we still have a few months here where I am still hyped as ever. I have a very interesting history with this pay-per-view because, yeah, I bought it, but I did not watch it live. And we will get into that as we get into this main event, because I kind of watched this pay-per-view backwards, and as an adult, I would never do that. And I want to go back in time and slap my 12-year-old self and say, what the hell are you doing watching a pay-per-view? The last, 20 minutes of a pay-per-view and then going back and watching the rest. You ruined the whole thing for yourself.
Yeah.
But anywho, man,
I mean,
you know what?
To be fair,
I have a New Year's resolution that this was a better pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, again, to be fair, like the ending 20 minutes of this pay-per-view is probably the only noteworthy thing that happens on this show, because I remember watching this pay-per-view live, and I remember having more fun memories watching it as a young kid, and then rewatching it, I'm like, this isn't a very good show. If I'm being completely honest, it's not good.
We are going to talk about a certain pay-per-view at the end of this retrospective that puts things more into light, but I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this from a promotional business standpoint. You have Armageddon, which is a December pay-per-view, which is very bad for the company every single year. I can't remember. The last good Armageddon was Armageddon 2000, or 2002. I can say 2002. But who the hell is going to buy a mediocre pay-per-view in December and then buy another one in the beginning of January when the Royal Rumble was right on the horizon?
Not very many people. I mean, you get one paper after Survivor Series, you get one SmackDown exclusive, one Raw exclusive, and then you get the Rumble. Like, I get the pattern there, but it didn't really lead to great products.
And when you're still in the era of paying $40 to $50 a pop for these pay-per-views, look, I know WWE tried this again with Day One a couple years ago, but that was in the Peacock era. That's when we were getting it for $4.99, $9.99 a month. So we weren't losing anything by getting a Day One pay-per-view. Now I would not pay $50 for New Year's Revolution, and you know what? I don't know how I convinced my parents to buy this pay-per-view for me. It was crazy.
It was. I think I can only envision a 12-year-old Tomas doing a Jedi mind trick on his parents to try and get him to buy this show just because of the Elimination Chamber.
I had two rules when it came to pay-per-views. I cannot buy every single one. And if I wanted to watch WrestleMania, I could not get the one before and I could not get the one after. So I never saw Backlash and I never saw a No Way Out.
I feel so bad for you, especially on the No Way Out in 2006. But this show, I mean, I don't want to say 2006 was the beginning of the downward spiral for me as a fan, But this is where I noticeably started to see that the product was taking a turn for not the worst. I mean, WWE was still coming off the death of Eddie Guerrero, and they were still trying to adjust to some semblance of normalcy after the sudden, like, tragedy that befell them. And it was a huge adjustment period. 2006, I would say, was a huge adjustment period. Now, a lot of this did lead to a lot of questionable booking, which we'll get to throughout this retrospective. 2006, you want to talk about, like, tasteless angles. This is the year for you.
I was just going to say, 2006 was the beginning of the in-ring work did not matter. It was about the gimmicks and the shitty storylines, and they were trying to recapture the shock value, the shock value factor of the Attitude Era, especially with Monday Night Raw. And it's too soon to say now, but let's say we're going to have a great feud that starts, goes into WrestleMania, goes into Backlash, and after that, it's going to take a very weird turn. Me, as a kid, I liked it, but I understand a lot of fans that were taking their mouth, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
We are.
To open up with New Year's Revolution 2006. This pay-per-view emanates from Albany, New York at the Pepsi Arena. There were 11,000 people in attendance. That is a crazy number considering how great WWE is doing now when they're packing like 15 to 16,000 people for like Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, especially in the build to WrestleMania. So that is a crazy number for a pay-per-view. We open up this show with Ric Flair defending the Intercontinental Championship against Mr. Money in the Bank, Edge. And let me tell you this right now, I fucking love the build to this match.
Yeah.
So it was Edge challenging Flair for the Intercontinental title. At first, it begins off as an obligatory, we need a challenger for the Intercontinental title. But the build is so fucking funny, and Edge is really starting to get into his stride as a heel. So Flair was arrested for road rage earlier on in the month, like the beginning of the year, late December. And Edge goes onto the cutting edge, and he says, I have the footage of the road rage incident with Ric Flair. And it's Edge dressed up as Flair with the wig and the robe behind the wheel of a car. I like how Flair drives everywhere with the robe. He's going crazy. He's going, woo, woo. And I guess somebody cut him off in traffic. So Flair gets out of the car, confronts a fan who is coincidentally wearing a Rated R Superstar shirt. So what a coincidence that Flair road rage with an Edge fan. And he chops the fan. He gets him on the concrete floor, the road floor, and puts him in the figure 4 leg lock.
In the middle of traffic. In the middle of traffic.
It's the best thing about this build. Because it would have been your standard, Flair needs a contender. Edge is getting pretty over. Let's have a match.
I forgot about that part of the build, honestly. And just thinking about it now, it's Edge. Edge to me has always been like, I mean, he's a great worker and all that, but I feel like a big thing that draws people to Edge, he's funny. And it dates all the way back to his Edge and Christian days, and he's still pulling off a lot of these shenanigans here against Ric Flair, who has been on quite the roll as the Intercontinental Champion since he won the title at Unforgiven. Edge still holding on to that Money in the Bank briefcase. This is the first time that we've talked about him in ring in a match since, I want to say, Unforgiven. He was dealing with a torn... Yes. I was questioning whether or not Edge was injured and why he was always cutting promos, and I did some fact checking, and it looks like Edge had torn his tricep in between in between Unforgiven and New Year's Revolution. So he's all fully healed.
You think it's fair to say at this point, out of anybody at WWE, nobody can fucking touch Edge on the mic?
No, no, Edge was the best on the mic.
He was the best promo in WWE at that time. And I will say it again with this match, 2005 and early 2006 was probably the best years for Flair at this state of his career because he could still fucking go. And he was still putting on quality stuff. And you know what? For what this match was, I thought it was decent. I thought it was all right.
It was.
I realized Edge and Flair, have we even ever gotten that before? And considering these guys are very much hitting their strides at this point in their career, I thought they had pretty good chemistry. I thought the sequences were fine. I thought the storytelling was good. And yeah, I think given the circumstances, if these guys would have gotten like 15 uninterrupted minutes with a solid finish, this could have been a hidden gem.
Yeah, well, they would get that in a few weeks on an episode of Raw. They would have a tables, ladders, and chairs match that went about 15 minutes or so. That was awesome. Very risky match to put Ric Flair in, TLC.
Flair was going crazy at this point in his career.
Yeah, and it should be noted that Flair was just about to turn 55 years old at this time at this point in the timeline, which again is crazy. It should also be noted that the lovely Lita was at ringside. She was there cheering on her man. She was wearing a Rated R Superstar t-shirt. Edge, it was decent enough action. Flair hits a thumb in the eye on Edge, and Joey Styles freaks out when Flair thumbs Lita right in the eye. And it was like, man, just no chivalry. Chivalry is dead. Flair's the babyface here, and he's thumbing the woman in the eye.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, Lita is like fucking getting in. Lita had it coming. I mean, the shit that Lita does, it's not like it's not warranted. But the only thing that bothers me about that aspect that I do agree with, Lita gets involved one too many times, and then Flair starts chasing her around the ring and starts pelvic thrusting at her. And I'm like, this is the babyface, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the babyface. I mean, it is Ric Flair. This is Ric Flair we're talking about here.
It's weird how art imitates life sometimes.
Yeah.
But this is the real, like, finish to the match. I think at one point Flair gets the figure 4 leg lock on Edge and the distraction from Lita, which causes Flair to get Lita. He slingshots Lita into the ring, puts the figure 4 on Lita, and Edge just comes through in a fit of rage with the Money in the Bank briefcase and fucking wallops Flair in the head with the briefcase, causing the disqualification.
It was nasty, wasn't it?
Yeah, not a fan of the disqualification finish, but I'm going to hold my feelings for that in hindsight. Overall, I'm going to give the match 2.5 stars because I did appreciate the work they were doing up to this point. And you could say, oh, Edge was so mad that Flair had Lita in the figure 4 that he took his rage out on him. But at the same time, you're really going to sacrifice the Intercontinental title over this. It seems like a dumb move at the point, but Edge is anything but dumb. He's the ultimate opportunist. This is the birth of the ultimate opportunist.
Yes.
And after they announced Flair as the winner via disqualification, Edge comes back in for more punishment, and this shot is so fucking cool. Flair is bleeding because of course he is. Flair starts to get up, and while he's starting to sit up, there's this great angle from the ring floor, and Edge just takes that briefcase and fucking decks it over Flair's head again. That shot would become so iconic, it would be part of the Monday Night Raw opening for like 2 years.
Yes.
It was great.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a rare instance of good direction from one Kevin Dunn. Ric Flair, it should also be noted, one of the most obvious blade jobs that Ric Flair has ever done. Like, as soon as Edge hit him with the briefcase, I saw Flair's hand, go up to his forehead, almost instantly. And I'm like, Flair's gonna gig. Of course he's got a gig. He's gotta make Edge look like a killer with this briefcase. And I should have seen it coming as a little kid. But, I mean, I was younger, I was a little bit more naive, I wasn't really reading too much into the story that they were trying to tell. Jonathan Coachman was really hamming up that 2006 was going to be a great year for Edge, and he was also putting over the importance of the Money in the Bank contract that he still has in his hands. Wanted a WrestleMania 21, hasn't used it yet. Nails Flair with the briefcase, and he leaves. Flair is just in a bloody heap. I'm going to go 2.25 stars on this. Fairly average match. I mean, again, it's a DQ finish on a pay-per-view, which was what I like to call the Vince McMahon special. I'm not a fan of it, but for the story that they're telling with Edge on this pay-per-view, I get why they did it.
I still think this was at a point where WWE's booking was still pretty good, and this was the definition of foreshadowing. I never saw it coming as a kid, and like you said with Edge in the briefcase, he's had it for so long that I kind of forgot he had it, and he was just using it as a weapon. There's going to be a lot more instances of this foreshadowing as we go on through the show. I thought this was, you know what, the development of Edge on this show, this is the Edge pay-per-view.
It is. We're going to talk about something silly up next before we get into this next contest. Todd Grisham is interviewing Kurt Angle in preparation for the Elimination Chamber match. This is one of the most...
When I think about this pay-per-view, I think of two things. Edge and this fucking segment here.
Yeah, so Kurt Angle basically is asked his thoughts on the Elimination Chamber match, and he decides to start by saying the following, and I actually have this verbatim. He hopes that the U.S. loses the war in Iraq. The greatest country in the world is France. Wouldn't you say, Daivari? Because he had Daivari. He had Daivari with him. And I'm not the biggest fan of the black people.
What the
What?
fuck?
Why is he not a fan of black people? What is he
How
like?
did Angle
Hold
get
on.
away with this?
This is, by the way, this is like a promo coming from a man who looks like he's lost all of his dignity at this point. Your promos last year about Charmel would beg to differ. I think you are a huge fan of the black people, Kurt. I think you are a huge fan.
A very, very, very rare throwback to Greg when he very first started his channel.
Yeah.
He was taking Q&As, I think either from the comments or from email because super chats weren't a thing. I sent in my question to see if he would get the reference, and I go, "Hello, good mic work. Did you know that Kurt Angle isn't a fan of black people?" And Greg's response is embedded in my skull forever.
Oh, no.
Kurt Angle doesn't like black people? Wait, didn't he date a black girl? Oh, well, I don't think that's true,
no.
but all I have to say about that is if Kurt Angle doesn't like black people, then black people should get together and kick his ass.
No, Cody Rhodes should have like thrust his way into the interview set and just beat Kurt Angle to a bloody pulp because Cody's ending racism that way, right?
Negro icon Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, he and last thing, that wasn't even the worst. That wasn't even his like coup de grace of this segment. He says, "If I could make anybody tap out, it would be Jesus." Yeah,
Isn't it crazy that nowadays I look back at that promo and the black person comment is the only thing that Angle said in that segment that offended me?
Yeah,
That's the only thing he said that would have gotten under my skin.
In any case, Kurt Angle said that his point in saying all this is that he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and the idiots in the crowd will still cheer for him, and that leads to the crowd cheering him.
Could you imagine someone like
Point proven.
MJF using this same format nowadays? Not with like the racism, but like, could you imagine the shit MJF could come up with?
No, no, I couldn't have.
Crazy.
Couldn't imagine it in the slightest. So, Kurt basically says that Elimination Chamber is going to be a cakewalk for him. He has John Cena's number, even though Cena's beaten him twice on pay-per-view this year, in the past year. He beat Shawn Michaels and Kane both at past WrestleManias. Carlito and Chris Masters are not in his league. He says that he's going to win the WWE Championship in the same building where he won his first WWE Championship back in 2000. Another show we reviewed in the past, No Mercy.
Can I just say this now?
Yeah.
I understand this night, why not? But this is going to go my whole defending the Cena hate kind of thing. It's just like you look at this promo and you look at the year he has had. How have you not put the WWE title on Kurt Angle? How the fuck have you not?
Well, we're going to get our answer about at the end of this week because New Year's Revolution ends and Kurt Angle would be a champion. Not in the way that we would have thought, though.
But it's just crazy because, like I said, the whole booking thing with Batista, but you look at just the year he has had and how do you not put the title on this guy? Yeah.
Has one of the best matches I've ever seen with Shawn Michaels at the past year's WrestleMania. Had a great trilogy with Shawn Michaels, which was never resolved.
Yeah.
Still salty about that. But
that was Vince's way of saying he didn't want Angle or Michaels to get pinned, but he was okay with Angle getting pinned like 3 times by Cena.
Yeah, he was okay with Angle getting pinned first in the Elimination Chamber.
But there's a reason for that, and I will get to that when we get to the chamber match and that. But are you ready for something very rare?
Yep.
In this retrospective, a good women's match?
Yes, yeah. So what we have here for the Women's Championship, Trish Stratus, who is a year deep into her Women's Championship reign, won this belt at the same event a year prior from Lita in an infamous match where Lita tore her ACL. She is defending against her number one fan, Mickie James. And oh boy, this story has taken a turn for the crazy, hasn't it? Do you want to dig into this?
It really has. So as we talked about, this is the most effort they put into women's booking, I think, like, ever. So we talked about Mickie James, her debut earlier in the year, how she was just a crazy fan that jumped the guardrail to help Trish Stratus from an attack from Torrie Wilson and Victoria. Mickie James has since then attached herself to the hip of Trish Stratus, saying, "You're my favorite wrestler, you're my inspiration," helped her retain the title at Taboo Tuesday. But ever since then, she has basically become Trish Stratus' stalker. And it's infamous, and I mean infamous, segment on Monday Night Raw. I think it was the Christmas episode of Raw.
Yeah,
they're
Christmas
in the
Eve.
Room. They're in Trish Stratus' dressing room, and there is a mistletoe, and Mickie James alludes to it, and she forces a kiss upon Trish Stratus. Once that happened, the gloves were off. It was like, holy shit, this went from being a fan to somebody I was mentoring, that she actually is in love with me. And I know a crazy lesbian stalker angle sounds about right for the time, but I think the way they did it, it worked. Mickie
the crowd
James took this gimmick and she did really fucking well with it.
And the crowd in 2006 loved Mickie James just because of the fact that this was a lesbian story. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's a big reason why she got over.
Instances too that if this wasn't Mickie James, I don't think the gimmick would have pulled off that well. She did such a good job with this, and this was our introduction to Mickie James. And I want you to look at her now, 20 years later. She's one of, I would put her in my top 10.
She's an inspiration. She's an inspiration.
Such a damn good wrestler. But I need to say this now. I find it crazy that Mickie James is out here wrestling in regular ass clothes. She is wearing regular boots. She is wearing a skirt with a belt. And
she wearing Uggs? She wearing Uggs?
This night, she was wearing just like some wrinkly boots. Not even wrestling boots. She was dressed like she was going to the mall.
This is not hardcore country Mickie James, that's for sure. No. But yeah,
I question Mickie James' ring attire.
I agree with everything he said, though. Mickie James is a freaking inspiration, and she's a pioneer in the world of women's wrestling, and we do not deserve Mickie James. So, how she got this shot, by the way, was she pinned Victoria in a #1 contenders match on an episode of Raw, and now we're all caught up. Trish, Coach was noting that Trish walking down to the ring, he's never seen Trish look as uncomfortable as she looks tonight, and who can blame her? Because she's in the ring with her stalker, and she's going to be wrestling around with her stalker, who's going to be trying to cop a feel during this match.
I loved Trish Stratus' cadence in this match. It was, I'm here to defend my title. It doesn't matter who my opponent is. I just have to go in there and do my business. This was a fucking banger. This is probably the best women's match on this retrospective, probably since, I'm not kidding, maybe Trish Stratus and Victoria from Survivor Series 02.
Yeah, I would put the triple threat from Mania 19 up there too. I like that one. Can't really think of many other ones if I'm being honest. I mean, there's been some decent ones, but since we started doing the retros in the Ruthless Aggression era, like I can't think of another women's match, but that was great really as this. Good. Yeah,
and this is one of three. They have Mickie James and Trish Stratus from here, WrestleMania and Backlash is probably the most underrated feud, women's feud of all time.
Yeah. Now, granted, I don't think this match is as good as a later match that they would have down the line. I do feel like there were some spots where it was a bit botchy here and there. That happens, though. Mistakes happen in wrestling, but you can't really fault the ladies too much.
Part of this match was
what's that?
It went hand in hand with the gimmick.
What's that?
The introduction of the Mick kick and Mickie James stealing Stratisfaction.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's what I was referring to, actually. Mickie actually did botch the Stratisfaction a little bit. It didn't look as clean as it should have, probably. I mean, you would think her #1 fan, like, she would probably master that move, right? If she's a skilled wrestler, but...
Aside from that, though, I thought the sequencing of this match was very good.
Yeah.
There were some great counters in this match. It was very smooth. The transitions, the sequencing was very smooth. These ladies just clicked in the well very well together, and I enjoyed this match a lot.
Yeah, they teased the Stratosphere at one point. Mickie James had a great counter out of that. Stratus eventually hits the Stratosphere. There's a nice near falls in this thing, too. And the match actually also, I should note, pretty physical. Mickie James was selling all of Trish's offense like it was like cannonballs being shot at her. Again, we do not deserve Mickie James. She is fucking awesome. But Trish goes for the Stratisfaction. Mickie hits the Stratisfaction. But here's the big story. Mickie nails the Stratisfaction, sort of, and she has this really crazed look in her eyes. She's smiling and she's beaming. She's so proud of herself. She's not going for the cover, though. And Jonathan Coachman is scolding her for not taking advantage of this opportunity. He's like, Mickie James is too inexperienced, and she's like, is basking in the limelight too much, and she's not going for the title. And this proves to be her downfall. Mickie then goes for the Mick kick, and then Trish counters it, chick kick to the head, and Mickie sells it like she was shot by a large gun, and she is down for the count. And yeah, Trish retains, and the year-long reign continues.
You know what? This is my match of the night.
What? No way.
This is my match of the night. This
Wow.
was 3.75 stars. This was really fucking good. I love the story that they told. It helped advance the plot a lot. I thought both ladies just sold this very well. And like I said, this is the best women's match on this retrospective in a very long time.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see women actually wrestling. This was so damn good.
I'm gonna go 3, maybe 3.25. I don't think it went long enough to warrant a 3.75 from me because they only got 7 minutes. I feel like if they added some more drama in there, maybe a little bit more near falls. Like if they legit, if they got 15 minutes in this match, this could have been like definitely match of the night for me. And it's like, yeah, again, matches of the night is not what New Year's Revolution 2006 is known for, as we'll get into.
I was going to say, considering what this card is, this was the best thing. And I'm sorry, I have too many issues with the main event to consider it good.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, this was probably storytelling-wise and booking-wise, this was the best thing on the show. And like I said, this is only the beginning because it's going to get a lot weirder from here when Mickie James realizes she doesn't love Trish Stratus. She's not in love with Trish Stratus. She wants to be Trish Stratus.
Yep.
It gets really fucking weird. She starts wearing a wig. She starts coming out to her music. And the mind games. The mind games is what sells this fucking feud. And the fact that they have all this build from here in WrestleMania, what happened? What happened in Vince's head to be like, I'm going to long-term book the ladies?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's long-term book the ladies. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I wish he would have done that more. I wish he would have noticed. But with that said, oh my God, let's cut backstage, and there is so fucking much going on before this next contest.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it. Yeah,
so the week before on Monday Night Raw, Shelton Benjamin has been quite the...
Before you get to that, I do want to mention that Maria Kanellis is interviewing herself because Maria is in a Gauntlet match later tonight.
The Benjamin segment happens after this next match?
Like literally right after.
Okay,
so,
we'll talk about that.
It actually, yes, it all happens pretty much concurrently. Maria interviews herself and she basically is asking how you're going to win the Bra and Panties Gauntlet match, which, yes, we will talk about. Yeah, Tomas is, if you're just listening to the audio version, he's shooting himself in the head and making a motion that he's shooting himself in the head. But, yeah, she's basically interviewing herself, and she is interrupted by one Gregory Helms. Gregory Helms, former Hurricane. And he is totally serious now, wearing a long leather trench coat. He's full of disrespect, and he's going out there to put down the old-timer, Jerry the King Lawler.
Which will be our following contest. We will talk about in a second. But the other storyline going on Monday Night Raw.
God, there was so much happening.
In a slump. He lost the Intercontinental title to Carlito. And like we said before on this retrospective, there have been a strange string of coincidences where Benjamin has just been botching in the ring. He slipped off the top rope once. He was entering a tag match with the Big Show, and he tried to run up the steel steps and jump in the ring. He tripped that way. To this day, I do not know if those were legitimate botches or that was just part of the story. But Benjamin has been on this crazy losing streak. He can't get back up to it. And last Monday on Raw,
feuding with Kerwin White.
Yeah, feuding with Kerwin White, and he's on the phone with his mama.
Yep.
And mama says she does not like how Benjamin's been losing, so she's coming to the pay-per-view. And Benjamin, the look on his face said it all. And he was like, you're coming to New Year's Revolution? And yeah, so let us introduce you to one Mrs. Mama Benjamin. Let's go into the backstory of this. Shelton Benjamin has said in an interview with Chris Van Vliet that when they were coming up with this storyline, Vince actually asked Shelton Benjamin if he wanted to use his real mom. Which Shelton responded, hell no, I don't want to use my real mom. I don't want to put her on the road. I don't want to put her in this environment. So Vince went out of his way to hire an actor to play Mama Benjamin. And there is one nice thing that came out of this. That woman has said her time in WWE was the most fun she's ever had in her career. So I thought that was really cool.
I bet.
So Mama Benjamin is just this big, robust, sassy woman. Shelton is bringing her in by the arm. And Mama asks if Shelton has eaten. And Shelton says, well, yeah, I had a protein bar earlier. And gives him the mama look and says, no, my baby ain't my protein bar. That is not a meal. And Shelton's like, fine, catering's over there, and Mama is gonna go cook her baby boy a meal
out of catering, out of the stuff you have in catering, which is already prepared.
And we will get to that segment.
Oh God! Oh God! Yo, Shelton. By the way, I should note I was watching this pay-per-view, and in the back of my mind, I'm very sad that I have to say this out loud. But when Shelton said, "Yeah, catering's over there," and I was like, at this point in your career, I'm sure you knew where catering was, buddy. I'm sure you knew where it was.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Shelton Benjamin, one of the best athletes of this generation.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he had zero charisma, but the man didn't need a gimmick, and I think he was one of the very few exceptions. You could have put a world title on this guy, no gimmick necessary. And this was the era where Vince was like, he's got to have a gimmick. Let's give him a gimmick. And no, I know. Here's the thing. Mama stuff, I get it. It was cringe. It was not I don't want to say it was cringe. It was not a proper use of Shelton Benjamin. But for what it was given, and when we get to the segment, Mama Benjamin, fucking hilarious.
Yes, Mama Benjamin is hilarious. We'll talk about Mama Benjamin more, but
I don't know the name of the actor, but she took the role very seriously, and you could tell she was having the fucking time of her life doing this.
And we were having a blast with her.
It only went for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're not going to see her on pay-per-view again. So at the end of that match,
we'll see her at the Rumble. We'll see her at the Rumble.
Is she really at the Rumble?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she appears in a backstage segment with Vince.
Okay. But I think that's it. And I don't think... Oh, okay, fine. We'll save it for them. But we will talk about... we'll still talk about what happens after the Revolution, because it's pretty important. Mama actually helps Benjamin win the Intercontinental title again.
That's crazy, isn't it?
We get there.
I fucking love that. But one last thing about Shelton Benjamin before we move on. It really does feel like, since you said he's one of the greatest pure athletes in wrestling, this guy in 2006 felt like he was so ahead of his time. Like, imagine this Shelton Benjamin, Tomas, in today's WWE. Like, easily this guy would have been a world champion, multi-time world champion. But
it sucks, though. It's like Benjamin, I hate using this phrase, but he was born in the wrong generation. The fact that we had Shelton Benjamin from 2016 to 2024 was crazy, but he was a lot older. He couldn't do half of the athleticism. Still a fantastic and solid worker. And it's a shame that WWE let him go, because I think he would have been a fantastic mind to have behind the scenes. But I thought it was still really cool we had Benjamin. It's just that if we could have had a 2005 Benjamin, like swap the roles, swap the fucking roles.
Yeah.
It would have been great. But we're going to talk about Shelton and Shelton's mama later on in the show. And of course, it's a Vince McMahon show, so it's going to get weird.
It is. It's going to get very weird.
So like we alluded to earlier,
time for the next match.
Time for Jerry the King Lawler versus Gregory Helms. Why are these guys feuding? I don't know. They're trying to push Helms. I'm going to give Gregory Helms all the credit in the world. No matter what gimmick Shane Helms is given, he knocks it out of the park. And like I said, he's no superhero now. He's not a boy band member. He is straight for the first time in his career, the straight man. He's coming out, like you said, with the trench coat, the glasses, the do-rag. And here's the thing about this gimmick. Shane Helms puts his all into this gimmick. He took it very seriously. He is a fantastic wrestler. And they do sort of push him, but I just don't think it goes anywhere beyond that. It's like Gregory Helms believed in himself, but Vince did not believe in Gregory Helms.
Yeah.
When he is one of the hardest working hands he has in the locker room. And he's going to have some very underrated matches in this run. But I just think this was a way to I don't know. I don't know the purpose of this match. This was a weird match.
A lesson in respect, maybe. It was the Jerry the King Lawler going up against the youngster, like he went up against Muhammad Hassan at last year's New Year's Revolution, albeit under very different circumstances of disrespect. And this is, honestly, I feel like the crux of this feud was Gregory Helms was sick and tired of Jerry Lawler, like, joking around about the Hurricane and how he wasn't the Hurricane anymore and how he wanted to be taken seriously, and Jerry Lawler would not take Gregory Helms seriously. So
here's the thing. This is a weird match. I didn't hate it, because here's the thing.
It was all right.
Say what you want about Lawler. And Helms is one of the... we don't deserve Gregory Helms in the world of professional wrestling.
Mm-mm.
I like this match in the sense of I would love to sit in a room with these two guys and just pick their brains on how because they both just understand pro wrestling down to a T. And you could tell, like, they were playing off of each other very well. Obviously, Lawler's better as a heel, but as a babyface, I think he's really good at ribbing the heel and getting the crowd on his side.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. It was a perfectly fine match, but really nothing to write home about. My only two issues with it were, number one, the crowd was dead. The crowd
did not give a damn about this match, which is, honestly, they were doing some entertaining things. I liked Gregory Helms' offensive repertoire. There was a point where Gregory Helms actually did hop on commentary, and he was hamming it up with his best friend, Jonathan Coachman. Joey Styles was just the man sitting in the middle and just annoyed as hell about it. He was like, go work the match! Go work the damn match! You know, he was saying stuff like that. But Helms, basically, he also says, I'm a better wrestler than Lawler. I could do a better announcing job than Jerry Lawler. And there's also a point where Lawler continues to mock Gregory Helms, get under his skin. He points at Gregory Helms and literally asks, what's up with that? Verbatim.
He does the hurricane motion and everything. I think on that part on commentary, Helms straight up said, I'm going to beat Jerry Lawler, and then I'm going to come on commentary and do his job for the rest of the show. And you know what? I wouldn't have been opposed
to that. Could you imagine? That would have been a different change of pace. Edge's cash-in would have felt very different. Coach keeps on insulting Jerry Lawler, and like these two have an ongoing feud on commentary, and Joey Styles is kind of stuck in the middle of it. Jerry Lawler asks the fans if they...
Can I say that now? What a strange announce team. Jerry Lawler, Joey Styles, and Jonathan Coachman.
That's a random-ass team.
There was somebody missing there, and his name was good old JR. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah.
Nothing against Joey, nothing against Coach, nothing against Lawler. But JR really was the glue that held the commentary teams together in that era. So when he quit, got fired, got injured, whatever it was, there was definitely something missing from the commentary. Again, nothing against Joey. Obviously, his ECW commentary is goated. Nothing will ever beat that.
No.
He always just felt so out of place in WWE, and I know it was why. In ECW, he was a solo commentator, except for when he was with Don Callis.
And Shane Douglas.
He never had someone and Shane Douglas. You think Paul Heyman was in his ear? Absolutely not.
No.
I don't think Joey liked Vince being in his ear, and I think Vince very much hindered Joey's creative mind.
He was shackled. Plain and simple. This match was decent enough. Lawler goes for a pile driver and it's countered. Helms is then crotched on the top rope when he goes for a move. And Jerry Lawler doesn't really make a huge babyface comeback. He just saunters up to the top rope, hits his patented middle rope fist drop, and gets 3. Match goes 9 minutes. The old guard gets the pin.
The babyface comeback, and I think that would have livened the crowd a little. And that is my biggest issue with this match. The wrong person went over.
Absolutely.
We talked about Foley going over Carlito being absurd. This was even more absurd. You have this brand new gimmick on a guy who is finally stepping out of the shadow of his other gimmicks. And you think you want to build some momentum for him, have him be a legend in Jerry Lawler? The writing's on the wall, and they just did not do it. Lawler did not need this win.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why the Foley-Carlito match didn't even really bother me all that much. Again, in a vacuum, Carlito absolutely should have beat Mick Foley and beat him clean. But that was also taking place at Taboo Tuesday, which was a pay-per-view catered towards the fans. So usually the babyface would go over, right? So, and that match was fun enough. That match was fun.
Foley winning actually led to something because I feel like they were testing the waters for Foley's next feud. Jerry Lawler is at the point in his career where him having any long-term feuds is totally out of the question. I mean, 6 years from now, the man's going to have a heart attack after a match on live television. So there was
6 more years.
Zero reason why Lawler should have went over. And as we'll talk about the Royal Rumble, Vince's mindset was sort of like, oh, well, he can lose to Lawler now because he's going to get a big push. No, that is not how you book shit. You book shit by having the guy you're going to push constantly win. It's not a 50-50. It's not a, oh, you do this for me and then I'm going to do this for you. It's not that. It's you keep him consistently on the winning path.
It's
and
classic.
If you're going to have him lose, have the losses matter. Let's take Ilya Dragunov, for example. He was on a win streak and his first loss was to main event Jey Uso. that loss actually meant something because he
Mm-hmm.
lost to the biggest babyface on Monday Night Raw. And
In the
now
King of the Ring
he's-
tournament.
Yeah, and now his momentum is being, continued with the feud with Braun Breaker. So it made sense for the loss there. The losses have to count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wins and losses have to matter.
Hey, this is going to sound crazy because whenever I reference Deadlock, it's referencing their jokes. But no, they actually said something in a review that really stuck with me. You can have somebody go on a losing streak, but who you lose to matters.
Yep.
Who you lose to
Bingo.
100% matters.
Yep. Yeah, and Gregory Helms losing to Jerry Lawler in a forgettable match, like, bugs the crap out of me. Because, yeah, exactly to your point. At the Royal Rumble, Gregory Helms, not to get too, like, far into the deep end, Gregory Helms would actually win the Cruiserweight Championship of the world, and he would hold on to that shit for over a year. So, if you want to build up to that, if you want to make Gregory Helms your next big star, like, have him beat an old-timer, have him beat a legend. Like, Jerry Lawler winning did not matter.
And then he could spend the next 2 to 3 weeks bragging that he beat a legend and rubbing it in his face. I don't know. He could like gloat that he's the new king of WWE. Like, he could take Jerry Lawler's crown, do something fun with it, Yeah. But you know what? We're just two geeks sitting in front of our phones recording a wrestling show from almost 20 years ago. What the fuck do we know?
Yeah.
So obviously, we're booking this shit a little better.
Right.
The match gets 2 for effort. 2 for effort. 2 stars for effort.
Chris Lash special for me, 2 stars. Yeah, okay enough match. I mean, it was competently wrestled. There was nothing wrong with the work per se. No real botches. The guys had some decent chemistry in there, and there were some fun moments like Helms on commentary. But absolutely correct. Wrong guy went over. Gregory Helms should have absolutely had the jet fuel loaded up, ready to go for him, so that when he does get the Cruiserweight title, that title will mean something. But you could argue that the Cruiserweight title was just as meaningless as it has been over the past year while Helms was holding it. So
and it's a shame Vince just looked at Helms and said, "Oh, you're too small. You're going to be a Cruiserweight guy." When he easily could have been Intercontinental champion. He easily could have been United States champion.
You know what? I'm going to say something.
Was feuding with The Rock 3 years prior.
You know what? I'm going to say something even crazier. When I was a kid, I wanted Gregory Helms to be a Money in the Bank holder. And honestly, that wouldn't have been too far-fetched. That would not have been too far-fetched, considering Gregory Helms' presentation. But,
are we getting the continuation of the Mama Benjamin stuff in this next segment?
Yes,
Please
we are.
Allow me. So,
yes, we are.
Mama is in catering. And I find this pathetic. I'm pretty sure this is not real, but if it was, I'd be goddamn rioting if I was a pro wrestler.
Fucking ridiculous.
So apparently, the wrestlers in catering get pre-packaged lunch meals. And
that's fucking ratchet. That's ratchet as hell.
Picks up these pre-packaged meals and says, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, chips, and a cookie. And she has every right to be angry. And she says, "No wonder my baby isn't winning any matches eating this crap." And she goes into her bag and she says she's gonna cook some collard greens and some mashed potatoes. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting hungry. I want to eat with Mama.
I want. Can we get Mama Benjamin's? Can we get Mama Benjamin's cookbook?
That would be fucking hilarious.
That would have honestly, if they kept Mama Benjamin on television and Vince decided, I mean, they were putting out fucking JR's cookbooks back then. Imagine if he had put out a Mama Benjamin cookbook. My God.
You're not understanding Mama's cadence at this point. Think Martin Lawrence as Big Mama. Big Mama's house. That is.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I'm going to be watching Bad Boys Ride or Die in a couple days.
Holy shit! You better be reviewing Big Mama's house. Talk about the definition of a guilty pleasure movie when I was a kid. Big Mama's house was like just the black version of Mrs. Doubtfire. I know that's giving it too much credit. But those were fucking guilty pleasures. Anywho, so while Mama is in her Mary Poppins bag, the lights dim, the music starts playing, and out pops everybody's favorite pervert, Viscera. So you mean to tell me...
Rest in peace.
You mean to tell me that King Rabel just hides out in catering all fucking day and just waits for a woman to show up showing off their fat ass hits his music.
he has the power to hit his music.
And then he sexually assaults them.
That's the funniest thing about it. I mean, obviously, like, rape is not funny, but I mean, hitting your own music while you're in catering, and then it somehow summons you into the scene. Tell me how that makes sense.
I just want to know Viscera's mindset. I'm gonna camp out at catering, and the first piece of ass that I see,
in
I'm gonna hit
character,
my music, and I'm just gonna go up and fucking catcall the fuck out of them.
And sure enough,
he sees this big ass right in front of him, and he just says, "Hey, mama, why don't you turn around and give me a piece of that?" He turns around, and oh my god, it's an older lady. So Viscera freaks out, and mama goes,
"Oh god,
what? Do you know who I am? I am the mother of Shelton Benjamin." And Viscera is like, "Oh, Shelton's my boy." And I if anyone said
super debatable.
Mom, would be 6 feet under the ground.
That was
6 feet under the fucking ground.
That's a random
mom.
That's a random ass tag team, by the way. Yeah. Shelton Benjamin and Viscera.
And Viscera looks right at mama and says, "Well, you may be Shelton's mama, but can I be your daddy?"
God, remember when Viscera was presented like a big 500-pound vampire around this time last year? Remember that? Those were good times. And those were really good times.
So, mama is furious, and mama is going to go to her son. And Viscera is unbothered by this. He thinks she's playing hard to get, and it is just what a fucking time that was.
What a crazy ass segment this was. Obviously it doesn't age well. But Mama Benjamin steals the whole fucking show, arguably. Viscera, and the cherry on top of this is Big Vis goes for one of those prepared meals that we were just bashing, peanut butter and jelly, and Mama Benjamin was just bashing it. Viscera takes one of them, and he's about to eat it. Mama Benjamin swipes it away from him. And she's like, "You're not going to have any of this food." Or something along those lines.
Maybe the last thing you should be eating is cookies, so Mama was doing you a favor.
Yeah, anybody who says the Mama Benjamin angle was awful, you don't know what funny is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, rest in peace, Nelson Frazier.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
we got to get serious now, I guess.
Yeah, speaking of eating, you have the Big Show going one-on-one with Triple H. I say this with all due respect because the Big Show is the largest he has ever been at this point in his career. And so basically...
He's the definition of the large performance.
Yeah, he is the large performance.
He's the large performance center.
Yeah, he's 507 pounds and not lean at all. But no. Big Show still won half of the World Tag Team Champions. His partner Kane qualified for the Elimination Chamber. Big Show did not. Because I think it was a qualifying match against Shawn Michaels. Triple H pulls Shawn out of the ring, decks him with a sledgehammer, and causes the DQ, which means that Shawn qualifies for the chamber. So Triple H is helping his sworn enemy get in just to fuck with the Big Show. Because the Big Show said something like, we're a
little ahead because this all started after the Flair feud. Triple H
you're right.
There's an interesting part of the Flair feud that I left out. And when Triple H first turned on Flair, there was a segment where he was going backstage. He was confronted by Shawn Michaels. He was confronted by John Cena, which was great because it was great foreshadowing for their feud later, where Cena said, "You want some? Come get some." Triple H looks Cena in the eye and says, "Oh, trust me, when I want it, I'll take it." I'm like, oh, fuck, that was such a cold line.
WrestleMania main event right there.
Yeah, such great foreshadowing. But then he goes up to Big Show, and he is terrified. And Big Show looks down at Triple H and says, "You won't know where, and you don't know when, but you're going to get yours one day." And Triple H brushed it off, but Big Show was here to follow up on that promise. And he was basically just calling Triple H a bully. And then the segment, they had a contract signing for this match for whatever, God knows whatever reason.
I've been waiting to talk about this. Hold on. So that contract signing comes along. They cost each other Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. Big Show helps his tag team partner defeat Triple H in their qualifying match. Next week, there's a contract signing. Big Show is talking about, look around, Hunter. You don't have backup anymore. Evolution's gone. Evolution's all broken up. You're a lone wolf out here. You're all on your own. You don't have any backup.
First time in what?
Yeah.
3 years?
You're all on your own, so you can't beat me. You don't have DX anymore. You don't have Evolution anymore. What do you got?
You don't even have Stephanie.
Yeah, and Hunter looks at him because Stephanie's pregnant, so she can't get involved right now. So Triple H looks at Big Show square in the face, and he says, "I don't need backup to beat you, fat boy." And I'm like,
Triple H always had the craziest
fat boy
one-liners. Yeah,
yeah.
he had the craziest one-liners. Like, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but 5 years later, he's gonna have a segment with CM Punk where he tells CM Punk, "I'm gonna kick your skinny fat ass." So Triple H, I mean, Big Show, speaking of deadlock, goozles Triple H, but Triple H stabs Big Show in the eye with a pen. Can I just say this is the most dastardly Triple H has been? And I'm going to go on a limb and say this is my favorite version of Triple H.
Really?
He was at his fucking best, character-wise at this point. Because this is the last we're going to get a heel Triple H in a few months.
With his dad bod?
I thought he was doing great work here when it came to like just the psychology of everything. He stabs Big Show with the pen. He flips over the table to reveal the sledgehammer, which was very smart. He attacks Big Show. They fight to the outside of the ring, and he uses the sledgehammer to smash Big Show's hand. And absolutely shatter the 500-pounder's hand.
It's important to mention that it was the right hand of the Big Show, the hand that the Big Show uses for the choke slam, for the WMD. That sort of thing. So Big Show is pretty much defenseless, except for the fact that on the Go Home Raw, Big Show comes out with a cast that is about the same size as him. He walks down to the ring, and it's a big sledgehammer of his own, basically. And when Hunter gets into the ring...
trope that I actually enjoy. I kind of like the cast trope. Undertaker did it the best, but I just like it when, they have an injury, but then the cast is so big that they can use that as a weapon. It's like,
I was on the Big Show...
It's a weird trope that I enjoy.
On the Big Show, though, it did feel like it was a bit cartoonish. In a sense, like it didn't feel like it was. It was like the Incredible Hulk, like those Hulk cans that you bought at Target when you were a kid. Like it felt like he had one of those plastered on him. But in any regard, Hunter is on his way into the ring and he refuses to get in unless the cast is taken off. Even though this dumbass doesn't see that it's plastered on the Big Show's arm. So this match, it starts. Big Show, it's a cat and mouse game for a bit, and then. This is where your storytelling comes into play. Hunter grabs Big Show's right arm, smashes it against the ring post, and there's a big cloud of just plastered dust that's all over the Pepsi Arena at the time, and the Big Show is yelling in agony. There's a huge, even though that's a weapon for the Big Show, it's also a bullseye. That's what Hunter was going to focus on, and that's exactly what he did.
I will say, the cast, even though they've made it such a big deal of the feud, doesn't really come into play because when Triple H starts going on the heat, he absolutely rips the cast apart. And I will say they did a great job making Big Show's hand actually look like it was hurt because there was just like this red bruising all over the hand, which, could have been legit, but, Big Show's hand wasn't actually broken. But they did a good job. Big Show sold the hell out of it. I will say, I think the best part about this match was Big Show's selling of the hand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Big Show, Joey Styles even mentioned it on commentary. He never heard Big Show yell out in agony like he did. And that's a credit to him, man. That's a credit to him and his selling. Hunter, again, a bunch of his offense is based around focusing on the right hand. Even before that, Big Show, give him credit. He was using his non-dominant hand for a lot of his offense. He does his, patented silence chop where he tells the crowd to be quiet. Goes to the chop. Yes, so I was waiting to talk about it.
And then a random fan just yells out, "Big Show, you suck!
You suck, Big Show!"
And I'm like, God damn! How come I've never seen that on those compilations I watch on YouTube? But this match was 16 minutes long.
Way too long. Way too long.
They had to fill out that time, and they did a decent enough job. You talk about Big Show's alternate offense. Big Show was pulling out some kicks, which I have not seen him pull out since his WCW days.
Yeah, this, to me, you said it, the match went 16 minutes, and I mentioned at the top of reviewing this match that the Big Show was the largest he had ever been in his life. Really, really dark days, ahead of him, especially over the next couple of years, which is, obviously I don't wish that upon anybody, especially someone I respect as much as the Big Show, But I mean, the Big Show, he works a 16-minute match with Triple H on pay-per-view, and he just looks so blown up out there. Like,
Yeah, it was, it didn't have to go as long, but with all things considered, looking at this card, this was your semi-main. This was your second biggest match on the card. This was your second, like, Triple H and Big Show. They have a lot of star power to their name. Triple H is on the verge of, working his way back up to the main event of WrestleMania. Big Show is still a household name. So I understand why this match was the way it was, but I don't know. I feel like shave a good 5 minutes off so the action can be a lot more better paced. Because they had 16 minutes. They had to slow down the action. They had to, work the hand a ton. If this was a good 10 minutes, I think they could have accomplished all of that and then some.
Oh,
the pacing would have been a lot quicker in this match.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so with you. Yeah, because I felt that slow pace. The match definitely felt like it dragged. And honestly, like thinking about it now, like I shouldn't be surprised that Hunter wanted to work a 15-minute match on pay-per-view, but he also had to be aware who he was in the ring with. Because I don't know if the Big Show was capable of working a 16-minute one-on-one match on his own, especially in the shape he was in at this point. Like, I would have wanted to protect him.
But he 100% controlled the pace of this match.
Yes, yeah, he totally did. There was a 6 shot on the steel steps. Big Show's right hand is exposed. It's resting against the steps. The referee is, I believe he took the ref bump at this point, Mickie Henson. Triple H nails Show with the steel chair, right hand on the steps. There's a loud noise. Big Show is selling the crap out of that. Like,
also, I hate to say this, but Big Show was kind of stupid in this match.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. Number one, so the sledgehammer comes into play.
It does.
This spot right here was very cool visually, but kayfabe-wise was very stupid.
Makes no sense.
Triple H goes for the sledgehammer, and Big Show catches it. And then, for whatever fucking reason, Big Show uses his bad hand to chop the hammer in half. And the first thing I thought when I saw that was, what did that accomplish?
Nothing.
He still has half a hammer.
Yeah. Nothing.
Spoiler alert. He still has half a hammer. And number two, why did you use your bad hand?
Yep.
And then,
why did you use your bad hand?
So after that, Triple H goes at him with the hammer, and Big Show kicks him in the face. And then Big Show just has this crazy revelation that he has 2 hands.
Yeah.
Because he's holding his hand, and he just goes, oh, I'm like, how long did it take you to realize you have 2 hands?
He's not ambidextrous, though. That was his downfall in this. Like, if he could have hit it, if he could have
sense, but the fucking look on his face was like, holy shit, I have another one of these.
Yeah, but imagine this though, Tomas. Big Show is right-handed, as I'm sure the good majority of the American population is. Where I'm a righty, so Big Show nails the choke slam usually with his right hand. His right hand was out of commission in this match. Imagine if the Big Show is ambidextrous. He would be freaking unstoppable. Yeah, exactly. He could have hit a left-handed choke slam. He could have pinned Triple H clean in the middle of the ring. But no, he goes for the choke slam, and adding to the stupidity, he uses his bad right hand to go for the choke slam, and it gives way. Of course it does. Like, come on, man.
Wait until Big Show finds out that he has 2 feet as well. He's going to be fucking mind blown.
Wait until Big Show finds out he has 2 arms, 10 fingers. 10 toes, 2 ears.
Fucking wild.
He's a brain.
Question all life at that point.
Yeah, a brain. Anyway, Big Show, he's going for his comeback. Hunter then hits him with the sledgehammer out of sight of the referee. Hunter sort of hits the pedigree on the Big Show, like, because the Big Show's so large and his shoulders are so, like, girthy that
his
he can't.
Wingspan is crazy.
Yeah. Hunter can't, like, clasp his hands like he usually does when he hits the pedigree. But he does it. He gets the pinfall win on the Big Show after hitting 1 pedigree, 16 minutes. I don't know, 2.5, 2 3/4 maybe?
I was just going to say 2.5. It was fine for what it was, and I do appreciate the somewhat of storytelling that was being told in this match. I thought some of the spots were very creative. These are 2... They're solid guys. They're solid workers. I just don't understand why they were feuding.
Yes.
And it was just a way to get another big marquee match on the show.
Yeah.
Of course, the right guy went over. You know, they're building Triple H back up.
Yeah, it was
It was
also,
fine. It was decent.
in hindsight, also smart to keep Triple H out of the Elimination Chamber because you're also keeping him as far away from John Cena as possible up until WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But match itself was meh. I mean, didn't really do much. If you cut 5 minutes off of it, it would have been a lot better. But
now notice that I'm not saying any of these matches are horrible. They're there.
They're there. They're raw matches. They're raw matches.
I'd rather have that over some fucking garbage piece of shit match. Don't worry, we're gonna get one of those.
Yeah.
We are.
One
of those on the card.
We are. You want to talk about
garbage?
What?
This next match.
Hold up. We have a backstage segment that's very important. Chris Masters is in his locker room getting prepared, and he's doing like the whatever it's called with the rope. I'm not like, a workout enthusiast, so I don't know what this like stretch is called, but he's using the rope to stretch out his biceps. Carlito enters his locker room, doesn't even knock on the door, and Masters was like, I'm in the middle of a rep. What are you doing interrupting my work? You could have kept going. He had a question for you. Like,
I would have reacted the same way if some mid dude walked into my locker room.
He's not fucking mid. Fuck off. But
Carlito was mid.
No, he's not. Carlito basically goes up to him and he basically says, everybody else is super experienced. Neither one of us has ever been the WWE champion.
He doesn't say that. He says, we have never been WWE champion. You know what the difference between us and Shawn Michaels and John Cena and Kurt Angle? Kurt Angle's been WWE champion. I'm working on it.
we have strength in numbers, and that's cool. Something like that. No, it is cool. He's not fucking mid.
So
though.
all jokes aside, what Carlito is saying is, me and you should team up, take out everyone in the chamber because they've been WWE champion before, and now it's our turn. So he has a plan with Chris Masters that does come into play in the chamber match.
Yes.
Chris Masters has. When Carlito is running down everyone in the chamber, Chris Masters says, none of them have broken out of my master lock. And I'm just like, Chris Masters, you have the fucking personality of a cardboard box.
Well, you gotta mention, this is also his 23rd birthday, so he's still very green when it comes to, delivering promos. Doesn't have the experience that anybody else does. Yeah. Carlito was running circles around him when it comes to the microphone. Like, let's be realistic here. But
he's very mid in the ring.
Anywho, fuck you. He's not mid.
Shelton Benjamin with his mama marches his way down to the ring, and this is just such a crazy visual. Mama asks for the microphone, and she is on the mic, and she is just screaming, "Viscera! Viscera!" Yeah, well, I know. I think Shelton grabs a mic, and I'm jumping ahead of myself. So Shelton Benjamin gets on the mic and says, "Viscera, you disrespected my mom, and I am demanding you come out here and give a public apology to my mama." Mama snatches the microphone and says, "Hell no, I don't want an apology. Viscera, I want you to get your big ass out here so Shelton can kick it. Viscera!
Yeah.
Viscera! Viscera!" And here I am thinking, I'm like, why the fucking Shelton's mama cut a better promo than he can?
I don't fucking know, man. She looked like she was having a blast. And a key part to this, don't overlook Shelton's performance here, because the whole time his mama is asking Viscera to come down to the ring, Shelton is asking his mom not to. He doesn't want a match with the 500-pound giant. He just wants to talk things out. He just wants to talk. So,
and in case you couldn't tell, this is them planting the seeds, which would be a Shelton Benjamin heel turn.
Yep. Much needed. Much needed.
Viscera makes his way out to the ring, and we have ourselves an impromptu match. I will say
Hold on. It's a bonus match, Tomas. It's extra value for your money. Yeah, this wasn't announced. This is basically WWE telling them this is not what you paid for.
Went almost 8 minutes, and you know what? It was all right, but the in-ring action is not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Shelton's mama screaming throughout the entire match. They should have just given her a live mic because she was so fucking hilarious.
Come on, Shelton! God. Come on, Shelton!
Kick his ass, Shelton! Kick his ass! Show what the Benjamins are made of! Kick his ass! Come on! No! And there's two parts of this that I want to bring up. Number one, Viscera and his brand new finisher, which is a big splash, And then he flips around. He looks Mama right in the eyes, and he butt fucks Shelton.
The Viscera. The Viscera.
And Mama.
She's appalled.
I mean, Mom, rightfully so, is very appalled. And she goes, "What are you doing? Get off my boy. What are you doing? Get off my boy. No! No!" And I'm just like, holy shit, this man violated this woman's son right in front of her. And then when Shelton finally mounts the comeback, like there's a double down, like there's a double clothesline double down. And Mama says, "Shelton, get up. Don't make me get the belt. Don't make me get the belt." And the look on Shelton's face is like, "Not the belt.
Not the belt."
And the commentators are having a fucking blast with this entire match.
Jerry Lawler is back on commentary, by the way, and he's just loving every minute of this. Yeah, Big Vis also looked very tired in there, and they only got, thankfully this match only went about 8 minutes or so. The match wasn't bad, per se, but, I mean, this is more memorable because of the comedy on the outside. So, that's all I'll say about it.
Of Mama. So, Shelton Benjamin I think he's on top of Viscera, and he's in the ropes, so the referee backs him off. And Mama just smacks Viscera in the face with her purse. A couple of good smacks, and Viscera gets up. Benjamin hits his patented dragon twist, because there's no fucking way in hell he's getting a T-bone suplex.
Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine how over Shelton would have been if he hit Viscera with the T-bone? Like,
yeah, but
my God,
dragon screw. Benjamin gets the win. I will give the match a star. It was all right.
Star and a half. Star and a half, maybe.
But the comedy and Mama Benjamin, 5 stars. Holy shit. So fucking funny.
That's why I gave it a star and a half. Upping points for the comedy.
Let's rewind for a minute. The fucking the internet, the WWE.com.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot a segment. So Edge and Lita went in there, and Edge said, "I don't care about what these stupid fans have to say. I don't care about Ric Flair. I have bigger things on my mind." And Lita says, "Just answer like 2 or 3 questions and we can go." And he's like, "I don't care what they have to say on the internet. I have better things to think about." And he leaves, foreshadowing.
He's like, I don't care what Meltzer has to say. I don't care what Alvarez has to say.
Why should
I don't know.
So Shelton and his mama go into the room. These are the only 2 times this happens, by the way. This was already like a dying trend. So they go in there about to answer questions, and Shelton's like on top of the world. And he goes, "Yeah, did you see Viscera go down like a ton of bricks?" Uh-oh. And Mama says, "Yep, thanks to the famous Benjamin family brick." There was a brick in the purse, and Shelton gets a hug from his mom. And you can see the look on his face like, did my mama really just help me win a match?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this now. This would be an ongoing trend on Monday Night Raw. The next night on Monday Night Raw, Shelton Benjamin wrestle Val Venus. I am not going to talk about that backstage segment. It makes me sick to my stomach. Mama in that match pulled out the sewing needles from her hair and stabbed Venus in the ass with it.
Good.
Shelton Benjamin get the win. Yeah, absolutely good. The next week on Raw, Mama would have an interaction with Goldust.
Oh,
Goldust was massaging her shoulders, and apparently it scared Mama so bad that Mama had to go to the hospital, and she came back in a wheelchair, donning an oxygen mask. And this is very important. So Shelton has been wheeling Mama to the ring every week on Raw after this. And then Mama has an interaction with Ric Flair, because of course she does. This leads to an Intercontinental title match. And in that match, Mama miraculously heals. She grabs the oxygen tank, throws it to Shelton. Shelton nails Flair in the gut with the oxygen tank, and Benjamin beats Flair to become the Intercontinental champion.
Wild, huh?
Shelton Benjamin win the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, that's how he regained the Intercontinental title after he held it for 7 months earlier on in the Ruthless Aggression era. Yeah, thanks to his mama. All reliable, huh? But yeah, that's not the only sort of family centered drama that's going on Monday Night Raw. Shawn Michaels is shown backstage preparing for his Elimination Chamber match.
So excited to talk about this.
He is visited by Vince douchebag McMahon, and he goes.
Why is he being visited by Vince? Because the week prior on Monday Night Raw, I think it was the last Raw of the year. I think it was that Christmas Eve episode.
Yep.
Vince came out and he said, "Look what Santa left in my stocking. It was the brand new Ultimate Hitman collection of Bret Hart."
The documentary.
Actually,
Yep.
it was the
yeah,
documentary
it was.
series, and here's
I
the
own it.
special thing about this DVD. Yeah,
It's a great
here's the
fucking
special thing about
DVD.
this DVD. Bret found out that they were going to make a documentary and a match compilation for Bret's career. Bret said, "Absolutely not. You are not going to tarnish my legacy. If you're going to make this DVD, I want to be there. I'm going to pick all the matches, and I'm going to be there to oversee the whole thing." So good on Bret. So Bret had a big hand in the making of the documentary, and he had a big hand, and he chose all of the matches personally that were going on this collection. So Vince brings out the DVD, and he just will not let go of the screw job. He just continues tarnishing Bret's name. Shawn Michaels then comes out and says, "Vince, let it go.
Move on.
It's been almost 10 years.
Yep.
It's time I moved on. It's time you moved on." And Vince doesn't like that Shawn Michaels is telling him to move on. So this starts the best feud of 2006. Next to that,
Really?
Cena.
Oh, man.
Vince is going to make Shawn Michaels' life a living, breathing hell.
He basically says in that promo, "I've screwed people once before. Shawn, don't make me screw you." And that a very poignant written line right there. But Vince is visiting Shawn in his locker room. Vince has made Shawn the #1 entrant in the Elimination Chamber, basically stacking all the odds against him. And Shawn is basically not fazed by it. He's like, only one person could have gone into the first Hell in a Cell match and won, and that was me. I am surprised that only one person could have entered #1 in the Royal Rumble and won the whole thing first, Shawn Michaels. So all the odds are stacked against him. He's not fazed by it. I'm surprised that he did not mention that he won the first ever Elimination Chamber match. I'm so surprised that he didn't mention that. Yeah. But regardless, it's still a really good, intense face-off, and it's only uphill from here. That's a great feud. I do agree with you. It does get very weird after WrestleMania, but I do agree that it's a really fun and one of the better feuds of the year. I don't think it's my favorite feud of 2006, but it's one of the better ones. You know what's not? You know what's not better? You know what's not better? Hey, you like women's matches? You like the women's match from earlier? Where are you going? Hey, Tomas, come back. He's If in case you're just listening to the audio, Tomas has gotten up from his seat. He's banging the door. He's trying to open it up, even though it's locked. He's trapped. We got to talk about it. Come back. You and your future WWE t-shirt, Penta. Yeah, but Braun Panties Gauntlet match. Let's do it.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get this over with, because it's Vince McMahon booking the show, and he's a fucking pervert.
11 minutes. And let me tell you, a good portion of this match, I wish I would rather drink battery acid than watch it again.
Yeah, so you start off with Maria Kanellis versus Candice Michelle. Maria beats her. Yes, Maria beats her.
Whoa, hold on. For those who are keeping track at home, it is a gauntlet match.
Yep.
But the only way you can eliminate someone is stripping them down to their bra and panties.
Yep, because Vince McMahon is a pervert and he deserves everything that's coming to him. Maria wins. Out comes Torrie Wilson. I mean, Torrie Wilson is in all of these matches, literally. Like every single match of this stipulation variety that we've talked about in this retro has involved Torrie Wilson. The world does not deserve her. She's been through a lot. Torrie,
can I just say right now, if this was an actual match, I would be very proud of Maria, because she got like 2 eliminations, and that's
did. She did.
Wrestled those 2 eliminations. That'd be great.
Yeah, she eliminates Torrie after they do the catfight spot where 2 girls roll over the official, and then the official enjoys it too much, and then the heel gets in his face. Jack Doan did sell it like it was. I mean, it's very dated comedy, but the way Jack Doan was like presenting himself at that spot, I did kind of get a chuckle out of it. I thought it was funny. But Torrie is lambasting him. Maria then beats Torrie. Out comes Victoria, the 3rd member of the Vince's Devils trio. She very quickly defeats Maria. and then Ashley comes out and beats Victoria, right? That's what happens. That's what happens.
There's a reason why this match is so bad as it is. I will say this. The greatest running gag of my childhood in pro wrestling is Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah.
Yep.
So it is
Rest in
funny.
peace.
Okay, it's a great part of my childhood. It's the greatest running gag in pro wrestling, but it was just this thing where when you least expected it, you very least expected it, you would hear that iconic piano music, and Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah would make their way to the ring. And God bless Mae Young. I fucking miss her. She is one of the greatest women pioneers of all time.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was so giddy and so willing to do this every single time just made the thing all wholesome. I always think of great things of Mae Young, especially the stories that Bully Ray tells, and how Bubba Ray said every single time I had to do a spot with Mae, she told me the same thing: you better not fucking hold back. So Bubba said, okay, and he has powerbombed her through a table several times. And the same thing every time, Mae would tell Bubba, you better not fucking hold back. And
he would powerbomb Mae Young in her 70s. In her 70s. She's a tough cookie, man. Really tough cookie. The camera cuts away from whatever Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah are doing. By the way, rest in peace to Mae Young only. Moolah was, not a good person. But Mae Young, she does her thing. Victoria is appalled in the ring. I wish the camera would only cut to the appalled audience members, and that was the only thing you'd be able to see.
Yeah.
But,
let's quote Deadlock again for the third time in this, when they talked about a Mae and Moolah segment from the Vince Appreciation Night. So they're old and gray and old, all wrinkly and very old.
very, very old.
So my wife walks in and says, what the fuck are you watching? And I look over and I say, Vince McMahon Appreciation Night.
Anyway, they go out there. They're very old and very gray. They go out there and abuse Victoria until she's very old and very gray herself.
So Mae takes her top off to reveal, I don't even want to say what the fuck she was wearing. But then she goes over to Victoria and she's trying to rip off her shirt, but she can't. It is stuck. It is caught. And they literally sit there and struggle. They struggle with this top for like a good 30 seconds. Where I'm at the point, I'm like, if I was Victoria, I would just take the shirt off and say, okay, you got me. You got me. Just to get things moving along. And Mae is eliminated because she stripped herself. And oh my God, this is so bad.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It reminded me of Royal Rumble 2000. Remember that? The competition they had in the middle of the show when Mae Young just came in and sabotaged it. And I had that DVD. And I would always skip that chapter because it would appall me every time. But,
like
anyway.
I said, even though we're speaking badly of this, Mae Young is still the greatest running gag in pro wrestling history.
Oh, yeah.
It always happened when you least expected it. And it got me every single fucking time. Way even to like the 2000s when she came out and challenged Michelle McCool to a match. And she had the greatest slip of the tongue ever on live TV. Where she says, I want to fight you. Yeah, I want to fight these two sluts right now. I'm like, whoa. I think they had to take the mic away from Mae after that.
Oh, man, different time. Mae Young is from a different era. So Victoria, point is, this distraction happens, the surprise happens, and she's left at a disadvantage because Ashley Massaro comes out. Rest in peace, Ashley. And she defeats Victoria very quickly. Ashley wins the Gauntlet match. Yep. And, 0 stars.
Ashley
I don't know.
way too fucking cool for this. She was way too cool for this. She should have been women's champion. Holy shit.
She should have been in OVW training and getting better like she wanted to. But bless Stephanie McMahon's heart, Stephanie would not allow that. And I'm going to hold her to that.
Every time I see Ashley in one of these things, I'm like, she's too fucking cool for this. Hey,
way too cool.
-5 stars. -5 fucking stars.
There you go. I mean, Ashley won. I don't know what else to say. It's not like the worst match I've ever seen in my life, but there's some things that I really wish I could forget about this match. And I really wish I could just forget that this stipulation ever exists. But
the fact that this went longer than the IC title match, the women's title match, and Lawler and Helms, pretty appalling. Okay, it is time for your main event. It is
It is
an
the main
Elimination
event.
Chamber match.
What are you
for
talking
the
about?
WWE Championship. John Cena defending against Carlito, Chris Masters, Shawn Michaels, Kane, and Kurt Angle. How did we get here? Very important, actually. So
Yep.
after Eric Bischoff lost the battle to SmackDown, everything has been going so poorly. Vince has been on his ass to the point where Vince is like, you know what, Eric? You're fired. But I'm going to give you one last chance to redeem yourself in the trial of Eric Bischoff.
This was so fun.
Yeah, it was crazy. They spent the whole night just going over various crimes that Eric Bischoff committed until the very last segment where Vince was the judge. And before Bischoff got fired, he said, wait a minute, Vince, you're forgetting that I am responsible for bringing in the Elimination Chamber match. So let me book one more. And Cena will lose the title this time. It's going to be Masters, Carlito, Michaels. No. He said there was just said there was going to be a chamber match.
Yeah, and qualifying matches would come.
Yeah. So, but that wasn't enough. Vince was over. I think Cena came out and cut this impassionate promo how horrible Bischoff was. And I will admit, this was pretty great. Cena lifts Bischoff off for the FU. And while he's in FU position, Vince gets the mic and says, Eric Bischoff, you're fired.
I thought no, like I thought that Eric was just standing there, and then after Eric was fired, Cena then hit the attitude adjustment on him. I think so. I think you're thinking of John Laurinaitis. You're thinking of John Laurinaitis. Yep, from 2012. Yep, yeah. So
but this part did happen. Cena picked Bischoff up and put him in the back of a dumpster. Yep,
and that's how Eric Bischoff was compacted and written off TV. No longer the general manager of Raw. He had a great 3.5-year tenure as the Raw general manager.
Crazy that he lasted that long.
I know, especially after him and Vince were at each other's throats during the Monday Night War, and the fact that they were able to work on a professional level together. It's crazy to think about that.
Bischoff is still the greatest Raw general manager in history. I said it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. His theme song, one of my favorite theme songs, I think, ever. And his ideas that he had as Raw general manager, I think, were super innovative. You still see the Raw Roulette pop up every now and then.
The Elimination Chamber is a staple.
The Elimination Chamber is a staple on the road to WrestleMania every year. I know behind the scenes, Triple H wanted to do War Games at Survivor Series 2002. They couldn't really do that because it was still a post 9/11 America, and people would be, uncomfortable with the word war being used in mainstream media. But Eric Bischoff came up with the Elimination Chamber, and we have this match. John Cena is defending the title.
This would be the last we see of Bischoff as an on-screen character until probably the middle of the year. He comes back for one spot. But after that, Bischoff is no longer a reoccurring character on television. He comes in from time to time for those Raw reunions or big WWE reunions. Hell, he even did an appearance on AEW, but that's never going to happen again because he fucking hates AEW. But Bischoff had a fun run.
Yeah.
He would actually be the head writer for SmackDown for a couple weeks.
Yeah, in 2019. Remember that?
I really wish Bischoff would have got a longer run because I would have liked to have seen what he would have done.
Yeah, no, Bischoff, one of the perennial authority figures in wrestling history, and he cannot be overlooked, and his legacy cannot be overlooked. A well-deserved Hall of Famer if I ever saw one. But John Cena is going in there, and the odds are stacked against him because he's starting this match off against Shawn Michaels. Kurt Angle's censoring of the "You Suck" is gone, which I was shocked by. Was that only for 1-2 pay-per-views that he used that?
Yeah. So, let's talk about this now. The fans are very against Cena at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The boos are very apparent. It is not even 50-50. It's 60-40 at least.
God.
The fans are tired of Cena, and you know what? I get it. He is severely outclassed. Mm-hmm. Shawn Michaels is in there. Kurt Angle is in there. Kane is in there. Kurt Angle should have been WWE champion. And Cena was not. You know what? I gave him a lot of passes.
Carlito was in there.
No, Carlito's mid.
Fuck you.
Vengeance. I gave Cena a pass at Vengeance because even though I feel like Jericho and Christian carried the match, Cena held his own. He held his own at SummerSlam. But then after that, after pay-per-view, it was just he was all his opponents were carrying the matches. I'm just gonna say that Cena was not. I don't even know how to use the right phrase. He was not pulling his weight in a lot of these matches. He was just depending on what he knew, and he was not improving. Everybody else around him was either better or improving, and he was just like, I'm the top guy. I'm satisfied just staying at that bare minimum. And it was showing. I will say this version of Cena right here offends me more than like Super Cena in like 09 or 2010. Because at least then he knew his role and he had a formula that worked for him, and his promos were untouched by anybody else.
Well, when he's
learning to do.
Well, when he's not burying the Nexus, I'm not as offended by that version of Cena. But I think
he's not tenured at this point.
I think he hit the nail right on the head there. Vince was still like, he's found his next Hulk Hogan, he's found his next Rock, and he's pushing him down the people's throats. And the men in the audience over the age of 18, I totally get where they're coming from. Cena is not a horrible worker, though. I mean, he's not honestly,
a horrible worker, but I will say he was not at the level of charisma of like The Rock just yet.
No,
he did not have the star power of a Hulk Hogan just yet. I will even go as far as saying he did not have the popularity of a Stone Cold Steve Austin just yet. He's still working out all those kinks, but even though I do think he's a solid worker, he is still severely outclassed in this match.
Yeah, for sure. And when he's starting off the match with Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest of all time, and he's got to go the distance with him, of course he's going to be outclassed. Shawn's going to be working circles around him. And sure enough, the crowd sees this. And it's funny you mentioned that the majority of this crowd hates Cena, because it felt like the crowd only came alive for Cena in a positive manner, like around the final 3 or so. That's when you notice that the women and the children in the crowd start to wake up. And that's when I really started to notice the difference, because I was still a big Cena mark. I was 9 years old at the time this pay-per-view happened. I was all about John Cena. Yeah.
Huge Cena fan.
But that's where I noticed. That's where I really, really started to notice that the men did not like him on the level that they liked The Rock or Austin, you know? So
it's just that, like you said, you know, the crowd came alive for Cena when Angle and Michaels weren't part of the picture anymore, because they clearly wanted one of those guys to go over in this match.
Correct.
But, you know, the sequences are good here. Cena's holding his own against Michaels. It's not until Kane is the next. Kane was the last one. Oh, Kurt Angle.
No, it's Carlito. It was Carlito first. Yeah,
I forgot because he's mid.
Yeah, well, fuck you. He's not mid. So these guys are working. You know, Cena takes a bump on the disgusting outer layer of the chamber. You remember how the floors were steel grates before? Like, and the wrestlers would literally take bumps on it? Like, gnarly. Absolutely gnarly. The third entrant is Carlito, and Tomas is going to hate me for this statement. This man was the MVP of this match. This man eliminated 3 people. He was taking bumps on the steel grates. He was fucking putting his body in harm's way. He was putting his body on the line to entertain us. He was working his ass off in this thing. Carlito was wrestling like he had a chip on his shoulder. Okay? Like, because he knew that this is probably one of, if not his only opportunity for a world championship. And I thought he did great. I thought he was great in this.
This is also the match where Carlito started using Crossroads for some reason.
Oh my god, yeah. we'll talk about that. I also did laugh when the you know how, like, when the buzzer goes off and the lights are over the top of all the pods and it stops on the guy who they're going to release into the match?
Yeah.
When the light stops on Carlito's pod, he's so scared by it that he spits out the apple that he's chewing on.
That was a great spot.
I love that. I love that. He's like, oh, it's my turn. Oh, cool. He's going to run in there.
I do appreciate that Carlito always brings a snack with him onto the ring.
Right? Yeah. And it's always a good nutritional snack that'll keep the doctor away. One apple a day.
Is a good inspiration for children. He is encouraging eating apples.
He's encouraging, you know, the incorporation of the basic food groups in each child's diet. You know, I wanted to eat apples. I wanted to eat apples watching Carlito. So.
Oh, yeah. Am I a dumbass for not realizing, are apples a big thing in the Caribbean or in Puerto Rico? Because I feel like there has to be a connection.
You know, like his vignettes, like the Razor Ramon style vignettes before he debuted, like he was at like the farmer's market in Puerto Rico. So I'm pretty sure you could find apples like at any farmer's market around anywhere. But
yeah, and also, but at the same time, the apple was his toothpick.
Yes. Yeah, the apple was absolutely his toothpick. He had an amazing t-shirt, which I want to try and find like one of those Carlito t-shirts, like the sky
Was it
blue.
the evil apple or
with the
one
evil
with him sitting
apple.
on the, okay.
Yep.
Because I remember the
I love that
version of him
shirt.
sitting on the mountain of apples.
Yeah, I love that fucking shirt. I want to find it somewhere, but
Because I let me guess, you think about the segment where he was backstage with Maria, and Maria says, "Look at that little evil smile on the apple on your t-shirt."
no, I just think it's a cool shirt. I mean, yes, but anyway,
he may be mid in the ring, but there were some aspects of Carlito that I liked.
I'm not gonna acknowledge that because he's not mid. You want to talk about Kurt Angle?
Yes,
he's in next
because this is when the crowd fucking came alive.
Yeah,
the minute the buzzer hit for him, Angle comes out here, and you just see this guy work. And again, I just can't help but think, how do you not put a world title on this guy? He is absolutely annihilating everybody. German suplexes for everybody. There is this really scary spot, which I am actually happy they botched, because if it would have went through, Carlito may have been taking a trip to the hospital. Kurt Angle attempts a German suplex over the top rope, but Carlito kind of gets caught in the top rope, and he's able to flip over and just land on his feet and take the bump that way. Could you imagine if that wasn't the case?
And let me guess.
Full fucking backflip.
Let me guess, because Carlito botched it, that's why you think he's mid. Yeah, I get it. Mistakes happen.
I just said I'm glad that it botched, because Carlito would have took a nasty fucking bump if it didn't.
Yeah. I mean, you can't wish death on anybody, no matter how mid they are, right?
Could you imagine just if the move would have went as intended and Carlito did a full fucking backflip and landed face first on that steel grate?
Oh, that would have been horrible. That would have been stupid.
That would have been the gnarliest spot in the entire match.
That would have been so dumb. Dumb. But
that's what they were going for. But like I said, thank God they botched it.
It should also be noted that Angle hit a slingshot on Shawn on the outside into the chains that are surrounding the perimeter of the ring. And usually that means a blade job is coming. And oh my God, Michael spilled so much blood in this match. Like he usually does when he's in like big main event matches like this, but this is one of his like more gruesome blade jobs that I can remember, and it's for like a lot of people don't remember it.
05 and 06 was probably the period for Michaels where this man was killing himself just to get back to the business.
Yes,
this dude is a bump machine.
Yes,
he bumps like crazy for everybody in this match.
Yeah, remember when the doctors told him he'd never be able to wrestle again because of a bad back that he got in a casket match? Here he is. Here he is, arguably the company's MVP still.
I love this spot. So Kurt Angle puts Carlito into ankle lock, and he is in the ankle lock for a very long time.
Yes,
and then the
great selling
going, and Carlito knows Chris Masters is coming. It's like hang in there for 10 more seconds. And Chris Masters is going to show if he's going to do this alliance or not.
Yeah.
And it's just like those 10 seconds are agonizing because like, God damn, he's going to snap your ankle.
Yeah.
And then Chris Masters finally hits the field. He breaks up the ankle lock. I mean, Masters had a couple of cool power spots in here. He wasn't totally bad, but on his own, it was just, he was there. It wasn't until he started teaming up with Carlito where I was like, okay, I see the chemistry.
I saw the chemistry too. It should also be noted, great selling by Carlito on the ankle lock because he's not mid, right? Masters is he's throwing people around, he's doing his power spots. He looks very green. Carlito definitely looks like the star of the two. Angle Masters goes for the master lock on Kurt, but Angle slips through. Does that mean that he broke out of the master lock?
No, because it was not locked in all the way.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Well, Masters, in any case, tries to lock on the full Lashley. Angle slips through, and he slaps on the ankle lock on I know what I said. John Cena then, for some reason, saves Chris Masters from a submission hold. I don't get the psychology here. I really don't get the psychology. Yeah, because he's the champion, right? And he should want other people to eliminate each other, right? But... No, Cena goes up to Kurt.
I'm the big champion. I want to eliminate everyone. Don't be a fucking stupid piece of shit.
Yeah, so Kurt is lifted up for the attitude adjustment. Kurt, great reversal, slaps on the ankle lock on Cena. Cena's in the hold for a while. This crowd in Albany is going nuts because they really want John Cena to tap out. And I feel really bad for those people because they would never see a John Cena submission loss from this point forward.
Nope.
Kurt has
the angle once. That's all you're gonna get.
This was a fantastic spot, though. Angle has the ankle lock. Shawn hits a picture-perfect sweet chin music on Kurt. And Kurt Angle is the first one pinned, as I've alluded to. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever as a kid. But Tomas, I know. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I'm going to let you. I'm going to allow you to go ahead and talk about why Kurt Angle was the first one eliminated from this contest.
So, I agree with you. After everything I've said about Kurt Angle, how he should have been WWE champion, and booking-wise, it is absolutely ludicrous that he is the first one out of this match, considering how fucking hot he was this entire match with the crowd. But last year, I want to say, Kurt Angle revealed something on his podcast, and they talked about this match.
Yep.
And Kurt Angle revealed...
Great podcast, by the way.
Carlito, Chris Masters, Kane, and Shawn Michaels, all 5 of them, did not want to do this match because they all knew Cena was going to win. So they were all like, why are we going to kill ourselves in this match when we know Cena's going over and none of us were even being considered to win this match? So, yeah, I agree. Why are you going to kill yourselves in this match? Every single person in that match wanted out first. So Kurt Angle, being the mastermind he is, says, there's only one way we can determine this. We're going to play rock, paper, scissors. That is right. They played a rock, paper, scissors tournament to see who would be the first one eliminated in the match. And Kurt Angle won. So that is why.
That's
Angle
crazy.
was eliminated first in this match.
That is absolutely a freaking wild story. Yeah, I mean, it gives him a good amount of rest and not a lot of damage inflicted to him in the chamber match because, not to jump the gun too much, but 2 days later, the SmackDown tapings, Batista would relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship because of his torn triceps. There would be a battle royal on that episode of SmackDown for the vacant title. Kurt Angle jumps ship from Raw back to SmackDown where he belongs. I fully believed wholeheartedly. I never really thought he fit in well on the Raw brand, like not as well as he did on SmackDown because SmackDown was always the wrestling show. Kurt Angle hops back over, eliminates Mark Henry super heroically at the end and becomes the World Heavyweight Champion.
And turns babyface.
Yep. It all in one fell swoop. So yeah, and that
interestingly enough, on the podcast, they talked about that too. Oh, you jump and ship to SmackDown and win the World Heavyweight Championship. Kurt Angle did not want to leave Raw. Get this.
Really?
Vince asked everyone on SmackDown, okay, who's going to step up and be World Heavyweight Champion now that Batista's gone? Nobody stepped up.
Wow.
So they had to call Angle in. And Angle said, what is wrong with this locker room? Nobody wants to be world champion. He said he wanted to stay on Raw because it was a better change of pace for him. But Vince called in a favor.
Wow.
Like, nobody on SmackDown wants to be champion. Can you come over to SmackDown and be champion? He's like, well, yeah. And
like, you gotta... I'm so shocked by that. I mean, because honestly, like, you look at the field in that Battle Royal, and again, not to get too off track here, but look at the rest of the field aside from Angle in that Battle Royal. You have, like, Mark Henry, who was probably the more likely choice, now that Batista was on the shelf because he was the guy that put Batista on the shelf. Rey Mysterio wasn't given that chance yet. He would, but not quite yet. It wasn't quite there yet. Matt Hardy, fucking Road Warrior Animal. Like,
you see the heavy hitters there.
Like freaking both members of M&M, the Mexicools. Like, who else would you put the title on? Like,
so
seriously.
Also, I'm glad we're talking about this now because, ladies and gentlemen, for those who have been following this retro since day one, got some bad news for you. This is the beginning of the end for Kurt Angle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're only going to talk about him a handful more times. And by the summer, he's out of here.
Yep.
So enjoy it. We're going to talk about him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more pay-per-views.
7 probably, I think. Because you have
Rumble, No Way Out, Mania, Judgment Day, Vengeance, One Night Stand.
Oh, yeah. No. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I counted wrong. I was counting this time, but anyway.
One Night Stand and Judgment Day. I mean, One Night Stand and Vengeance, because Vengeance is his last pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fun fact for you there. It won't be as bad pay-per-view unless you guys want us to talk about some old TNA pay-per-views down the line, which I'm totally game to do. So Kurt is out. There's 4 guys in there. And then out comes the 6th and final entrant in the match, a man who has no respect on Twitter anymore. Kane, one half of the World Tag Team Champions. The guy needs his phone taken away. He needed his mask put back on. But that man is against masks nowadays, which is very strange. But anyway, he gets in there, and the reason why he's the final entrant in this match is because they did a beat the clock challenge on an episode of Raw. Kane wins that challenge handily because he beat the Heartbreakers in a handicap match in 28 seconds. So, of course, he was going to be the last one in. And sure enough...
Yeah, very skewed in Kane's favor, don't you think?
Very skewed in Kane's favor. He goes in there. He runs wild for a second. Did he hit a chokeslam? He did hit a chokeslam. He hit a couple of chokeslams, actually. One on Michaels, one on Cena, which made him look like the biggest babyface in the match, hitting John Cena with a chokeslam. Then Carlito, and this is where the story of the match comes in. Carlito and Masters start teaming up on Kane. Masters saves Carlito from a chokeslam, tries the master lock, which Kane fights out of. Carlito nails the backstabber, double team DDT. Kane then sits up. Masters then grabs Carlito up for like the Ultimate Warrior press slam, right? And then it's a really nice double team maneuver. He slams Carlito on top of Kane. He pushes down on Carlito's back, and that's it for the Big Red Machine. See
what a very mid way to eliminate Kane.
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, at least it was Carlito that pinned him. So this is, the whole point of this chamber match was to try to get over the youth movement in WWE, right? Because you had Kane eliminated, Kurt Angle was gone, Shawn Michaels would follow soon after this. But it was trying to get over this alliance of Carlito and Chris Masters, who are two young workers. I mean, if you wanted to...
It's just a shame that they weren't better. I'm sorry. Like, you know what? I can actually make a case for Carlito. I really can. But Chris Masters,
he said it. He said it. He said it. Carlito's a star.
Personality of a cardboard box, greener than the greenest grass on a summer day. He really had nothing going for him other than his entrance.
His entrance, the fact that his birthday was on the day of New Year's Revolution at the time. He just turned 23 years old. That's fucking bonkers. Shawn is like the best at coming up with like the resilient babyface comeback, trying to play the heroic, like, you know, the underdog fighting from underneath. The Heartbreak Kid, of course, but you know, the odds are the numbers are it's way too advantageous to the youngsters. Then it's very odd because Carlito then nails Shawn with a crossroads of all moves. A crossroads in 2006. No Cody Rhodes to be seen for another year and a half or so, at least. Carlito...
Which Wikipedia calls it a rolling cutter.
Well, crossroads. That's what it is. It's a crossroads. No.
Hit the lights.
It's the same fucking move. Anyway... Tomas's heart is surely broken by the Heartbreak Kid when he falls to mid-Lito, as he calls him. Again, I can't help but tell you, Carlito was the MVP of this match. I think he was. Yeah. Well, who else? Shawn Michaels? He was the third one eliminated.
He was MVP of this match. But notice, okay, it doesn't matter if we're talking about Carlito or Michaels or Angle. You know who we're not talking about at all in this match? John Cena. Because he hasn't done a goddamn thing in this match.
Exactly. Hasn't bled any yet. Yeah. Tries to...
He's your WWE champion, and he is spending most of the match selling.
Yeah. The only thing missing is the Roman sleeping chance. I have no idea how that chant... actually, no, I do have an idea how we did not get that chant. Masters saves Carlito from an attitude adjustment after he's hit with the 5-knuckle shuffle. Masters and Carlito are beating Cena up on the outside. Masters is the one who cuts John Cena open, and John Cena is bleeding a lot. Not as much as he did during the I Quit match at Judgment Day, but still a fair amount. DDTs John Cena right onto the steel grates on the outside of the ring. Cena is being double teamed like nobody else. The crowd is cheering the heels, Masters and Carlito. They set up Cena on the top rope, double team back superplex. Carlito then has a bright idea here, Tomas, if you're ready for this. Carlito tells Chris Masters, because Carlito is the brain, there's a big brain underneath that afro, clearly. That's why the afro is so long. He's got a gigantic brain in there. Carlito tells his brawn to lock in the master lock on John Cena, and that's how they're going to get rid of him. So Chris Masters thinks he's doing the honors.
Masters does it like a dumbass.
He does, yeah. He falls for it. The youngster is too naive. He falls for it. Locks in the hurt lock on John Cena. Carlito then goes up, takes Chris Masters to Dick Kick City, rolls him up, and Masters is gone. He's a fucking idiot. Fucking idiot, right? Just crazy. But Carlito, it's like this image is ingrained in my head, right? This is one of those things that made me a huge fan of Carlito back then. Like, even though I was like 10-year-old kid, I would cheer the baby faces more than likely. But there was something about Carlito in this match that drew me to him, man. I just look at him, and after he pulls a fast one on Chris Masters, Carlito has that look. He's like,
yep,
every man for himself.
Cena rolls him up and beats him.
Immediately.
And I actually have a funny story about Carlito. If we're talking about a lot of interviews, this pay-per-view gets talked about a lot of interviews. And Carlito actually has a very funny moment. And no, I'll say it now. Carlito said, yeah, I was told to finish. I thought it was very weird that Cena was just going to roll me up. And he rolled me up right after that, beat me, kind of a flat finish. But then I heard the music hit, and I was like, oh, I get it now. So, yeah, but here's the thing. Cena wins, and he retains the championship. You know what? I'm going to give the match 3.5 stars. I thought it was...
Same.
Some work was good, but it was just one of the most underwhelming chamber matches, especially with that finish, especially with Cena being the champion and doing absolutely nothing into the match until the very end. But not a lot of people talk about the chamber match itself, because right after, the minute Cena retains, Vince McMahon's music hits.
It does.
Let me talk about this. Okay, let's go back a little. I don't know why we were out, but I did not watch this pay-per-view live, and we made it back. I'm not kidding. The last 10 minutes of the chamber match. So I watched it. Yay, Cena won. Vince's music hits. And me as a person, I'm always in denial mode. And I heard Vince's music. I'm like, oh, maybe this has nothing to do with Cena. Okay. And Vince's music comes out. He goes, nope. This pay-per-view's not over yet. Raise the chamber. Raise the chamber, I said.
Yeah.
Raising the chamber. And he says, first of all, I want to congratulate Cena on retaining the championship. Joey Styles immediately says, that's not a genuine congratulations, probably.
And the crowd boos Vince McMahon for congratulating John Cena, by the way.
So Vince says, congratulations, but this night is not over, and there is one more match. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And Vince says, this individual is cashing in his Money in the Bank privilege. That man is Edge. And my 12-year-old heart dropped like through my throat all the way down to the pit of my stomach.
Me too.
And I cannot believe this is happening. It's iconic. Edge comes out. He hands the briefcase to Vince. He runs down to the ring. This is the Mark side of me coming out. I immediately run to my room. I grab my John Cena chain, my John Cena hat to manifest all the power in the world for Cena. And
you poor kid.
WWE Championship match. And as a kid, I
poor kid.
It. Holy shit, I did not realize this. The Money in the Bank briefcase didn't mean, oh, you get a WWE Championship match whenever you want. I just thought that meant, oh, Edge gets to pick the time and the place. Like, oh, they're going to set it up. It's going to be a Raw or a pay-per-view or WrestleMania. No, it meant any fucking time that you wanted. And this
literally.
Brilliant.
Literally.
Brilliant.
This is what made the Money in the Bank concept what it was right here, was the Edge cash in at New Year's Revolution 2006. Because we've been talking about it over the past year or so. Ever since we reviewed Mania 21, the Money in the Bank briefcase, when it was first introduced and when Edge won that briefcase, they were looking to push Edge to the top, but it didn't really seem like the company knew what to do with the briefcase in between getting him the title shot and him winning the title shot, So he was just kind of carrying around a briefcase.
Very stupid rules. Like, I was listening to a Deadlock episode where they were talking about the Gold Rush tournament, and I guess one of the announcers asked Edge, like, oh, if you get drafted to SmackDown, what happens to your briefcase? So they didn't even have that kink worked out yet, where it's like, oh, no, it does not have to be the champion of your show. It can be any world champion. So they were still, like, establishing the rules of this briefcase. And Edge, he is a trendsetter of this. He is the one who started the trend of wait till the champion is vulnerable and cash in your briefcase then. So they ring the bell. The match starts. Edge goes on to attack on Cena. He pins him. Kick out. Edge hits a spear. Cena kicks out. And this is like, oh, there's hope. I have hope. Come on, Cena. You can do it. One more spear. cover 1, 2, 3. Edge is the new WWE champion
And he has
after only 2 minutes.
Tomas, yeah, no, like a minute 45 seconds. Edge, with tears in his eyes, is handed the gaudy-looking toy that is the WWE Championship belt. Looks so awkward around his waist, but you can tell that this moment meant something to him because this guy, over the past 2 years or so in this retro, has been wrestling matches with a chip on his shoulder. He's been so close for so long, and he finally has it. You know, in real life work form, so happy for Edge. But as a little 9-year-old boy who is the biggest John Cena fan on the planet, I was looking at this, and this is basically Edge becoming the Red Skull to John Cena's Captain America. This is his origin story right here. Edge,
like I told Zach before, this was the night Edge became public enemy number 1 in my life.
Yep. Yeah, he became public enemy number 1 to every member of the Chain Gang, later known as the C Nation. Edge, his first of many world championships that he would win in his career. And this is one of, if not the best Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time, easily in the top 3. Pioneered what the Money in the Bank briefcase even was, and the concept and the magic of it, and the unpredictability of it. Loved it. Love it.
So the whole arc of Edge starting off the night, disqualifying himself in the Intercontinental title match with Ric Flair, to him planting the seeds backstage, to him actually pulling this out. It all makes sense now, and it is absolutely worth it. I love you say how the spinner title looks awkward on Edge, but I love the way Edge was playing with it, just rubbing it in everyone's face that he beat Cena. The only other 2 pieces I want to point out is that great shot of Cena sitting on the ramp, all bloodied up, looking at Edge. That just stole his title. And commentary was selling it very well, saying like, oh, could Edge have done this if it was a fresh John Cena, if John Cena was 100%? Edge is setting a trend here. It did not matter. He was being smart. This was the birth of the ultimate opportunist, taking the greatest opportunities literally to benefit himself. This is the first time, but it will definitely not be the last time Edge takes advantage of situations like this.
Yeah, this is, like you mentioned, it's the origin story of the ultimate opportunist. And Adam Copeland, I still think, is known as the ultimate opportunist to this very day. This is what he's famous for right here. Like, aside from putting his body on the line at a young age and all those TLC matches with Edge and Christian and the Hardys and the Dudleys, this is what made Edge who he is to this very day. This is a moment I will never forget. I will never forget New Year's Revolution 2006 because of that. It's a bad show. It's a really bad show without this cash-in. But, you know, with the cash-in, I don't know, man. Like, this to me, like, this was a great coming out party for Edge. If you're thinking about it, was it really going to last that long, though? Because, like, the plan, according to those dirt sheets back then, was John Cena versus Triple H. Was Edge going to be a transitional champion? Was he going to be another Iron Sheik? Was he going to be another freaking Ivan Koloff or whoever you want to say? Like,
we will find out at the Royal Rumble next month, which is a fantastic transition into our next review. I'm going to give the show, after giving it some thought, I think I was a little too nice to this show when I watched it, but I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. It was just very underwhelming. Nothing really happened on the show. We had some decent matches, but there is not a single match on this show, maybe other than the women's, but even then you're not really missing out. I just personally enjoyed it a lot. There's not a single match on this show that could be like, oh, you need to go back and watch this, except for this cash-in. And it's a match, but it's not really a match. It's not like Cena.
It's an angle.
Wrestled for 20 minutes. It's an
angle. Yeah.
And it's historic for that reason. If you want to see the very first Money in the Bank cash-in, check out this moment and this moment only. But I cannot recommend a single match on this show.
No, and that's why I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 10. I think this is a pretty bad show, honestly. Aside from that cash-in, the chamber match was good, but by chamber matches, it certainly does not hold a candle to the one that was at last year's New Year's Revolution in Puerto Rico, the story of Batista ascending to the top and his dominance. It certainly doesn't hold a candle to the original Elimination Chamber match either. I don't think it had as much bullshit as the one where Goldberg was completely buried by Triple H. I don't think it had as much bullshit as that match. It was still very fun to see the youngsters go on a tear. I love seeing Carlito, be the MVP and the workhorse of that match. But other than that, I mean, yeah, Hunter and Big Show was kind of disappointing. It went way too long. Flair and Edge ending in a disqualification. Nowhere near their best match. You know, their TLC match for the title, which happened I think 8 days after this pay-per-view.
Yep.
I highly recommend watching that match. It's not the same episode as the live sex celebration, which would happen, I believe, the next night between Edge and Lita.
We'll talk about all of that when we get to the Royal Rumble.
Yes, we will.
This was a very mediocre show. No reason to go back and watch it.
Not a good show.
No in history for the Money in the Bank. But that was New Year's Revolution. Stay tuned because next Saturday is Clash at the Castle.
You want to try that again?
Glasgow, Scotland. I was trying to combine Castle and Glasgow. Where Drew McIntyre is going to challenge Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship.
And win it.
We got AEW. We'll see. We got AEW Forbidden Door on the horizon. And we'll be talking about Royal Rumble 2006. The train never stops here on the channel. We are always here talking about wrestling.
Always.
WWE and AEW. Oh, and actually, we will be reviewing NXT Battleground, which as the time of this recording starts in 45 minutes. So
hell yeah.
Stay tuned. We will be reviewing NXT Battleground. We thought, you know what? We need to stop being cowards and review the show. It's not NXT 2.0. It's not black and gold, but it's a good in the medium where it is fantastic wrestling. And they're making some noise right now. So I don't think it's better to ignore them anymore.
It's at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, which Tomas and I are going to become very familiar with next year during WrestleMania week. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up as well if you're a new viewer, if you like talking wrestling. I also talk movies over here on the channel on the regular, all things in the cinematic world. Look forward to every single pay-per-view review that he just listed. We're going to talk about NXT Battleground, even though my boy Lexus King is not on the card for whatever fucking reason. That guy is money, but it's, it is what it is. You got Trick Williams versus Ethan Page, I'm presuming headlining, and Jordan Grace coming in from TNA Wrestling, challenging Roxanne Perez tonight, so that should be interesting. All that to come and much, much more, my friends. Royal Rumble 2006 on the horizon, which is also a really bad show to my knowledge, but yeah, train never stops. I
watch that Royal Rumble ever again, but I gotta watch it one more time for the channel. So
yes, we do. But commence that back talk if you haven't already. Subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one, guys.